Don't lie to me. Don't be shy. I just wanna talk to you.
Okay. They've invited me here to tell you a little about my life with horses. Where on earth can we start?
First name.
My name is John.
Surname.
Is King.
Nationality.
I am English. Or British, as my passport would claim.
Hobby.
Hobby. My hobby would still be horses. My life was horses, and to the day I die, my hobby will be horses.
I just wanna talk to you.
When I was just a little lad, we lived in an apartment, 5 floors up. We had a little black and white television, and there was horse jumping on the television. And like all children say to their parents, I want to do that. Some want to be a spaceman, some want to drive a train. I saw someone riding horses over enormous jumps and said to my father, one day I will do this. And like all good parents say, of course you will, yes. Did not believe me. It was an ambition that stayed with me for a very long time. As soon as I had the money, I went to learn to ride a horse. I spent every penny I had on learning, on working with horses, and as soon as I could afford it, I bought a horse. A terrible horse. This horse was never a champion, but he was the best teacher I ever had. I hit the ground so many times with this horse, it was ridiculous. But each time I got up, I learnt something. And eventually, some person who I now love very much, long deceased, this person, said, this guy is so stupid, one day he'll be a good rider. This is a new horseshoe. It's from a reasonably big horse. In all the shoes of my horses, there would be holes drilled here with a thread. And before we take the horses into the ring, you have like a football stud. You screw it in. It helps the horses to get grip. I was show jumping. Basically, there are 3 kinds of equestrian sport. The type you see at the Olympic. There is dressage, which looks very pretty, it's very precise, the horses are very neat, the riders dressed immaculately, and they do everything to perfection. It is as interesting to me as watching paint dry on the wall. It is slow, it is boring. There is eventing, 3-day eventing, where people do a little dressage, they do a little show jumping, and they ride cross-country. We call that, in the show jumping world, the jack of all trades. They do 3 different things. They're not great at any of them, but they do a little of everything. And then there is show jumping, which, if you are a show jumper, you think is the top, the best.
Конкурс – преодоление препятствий. Всадник с лошадью должен пройти маршрут, не задевая заборы, рвы и каменные стенки. Если лошадь задевает препятствие или отказывается от прыжка, спортсмену назначаются штрафные очки. Первые соревнования были организованы в Лондоне в 1869 году, а олимпийским видом спорта конкурс стал в 1912 году.
I would compete in the most novice of competitions. In England, the lowest level is called the British Novice Class. The jumps are only 1 metre high. 1 metre, to some people, they may look at a horse and look at something that's 1 metre high and think, my God, I will kill myself trying to take. from there, your horses can go up to a prissance. A prissance is a competition where there is only two jumps. One normally is a nice, well-built spread of a jump to give your horse, loosen up your horse. The second jump is a wall. The wall is made of wooden bricks, and it gets higher and higher and higher until only one horse and rider is left. You can jump up to nearly 2 meters. My parents have some videos, and you can see me riding a horse towards the jump. The wall is so high, all you can see from the other side, looking through the camera, is my hat bouncing up and down as you approach the wall. It can be difficult. Maybe that's why the particular woman who gave me some horses to ride gave me the horses. She thought I was too stupid to realize it was dangerous.
По травматизму конный спорт занимает 3-е место после бокса и борьбы. 101 травма на 1000 человек. При ударе о препятствие или при попадании под лошадь можно получить переломы костей, позвоночника и сотрясение мозга.
If someone asked me what injuries I've had, what bones I've broken, it's probably easier to tell them the bits that I've not broken than the bits that I have. Toes, legs, arms, feet, ribs. Yes, I've probably jointed together quite well. Lots of super glue. In fact, at one competition, we were riding and we came to a practice jump on a terrible day. It had been raining, we were outside, mud everywhere. The horse stopped and I didn't, and I landed on the jump and broke 3 ribs. But I'd spent a lot of money, and the people who were paying me, my sponsors, wanted to see me ride. So the 2 young girls who were working for me as grooms got a bandage, soaked it in water. I took off my shirt and they tied this bandage around me, and it shrank. As the water dried, it shrank. And I could hardly breathe, but it held the ribs in place. And for the rest of the day, I rode with 3 broken ribs. But each time I came out, instead of being able to swing my leg over and get off the horse, I had 2 men help me. They lifted me up and walked the horse out from between my legs and lowered me to the ground. So you have to do some very strange things in the world of horses. This, for anyone who doesn't know, is a spur. You wear these, if the camera can go low enough, you would wear this here. There's a little strap that keeps it on, and some riders need these to encourage their horses. I had one horse. If you just walked into the yard wearing this, your horse would go ballistic. You would never get near it. Contrary to what most people think, they see you wearing the red jacket, they see you riding in front of 2,000 or 3,000 people, and for those 2 or 3 minutes, it's very glamorous. But the truth is, from 8 o'clock in the morning, you're there looking after horses, riding horses, lots of sweat, lots of tears, and for every moment of glory, there are 1,000 moments of disappointment. I wish I could have been good at football. All I would need is a pair of boots and a football, or someone who plays pool or snooker. Your entire equipment and cost is a cue and to travel. If your ambition's in the world of horses, you have to pay for horses, keep horses, feed them, pay for vets when they're sick, transport them from one place to another. It is a very expensive sport.
Конный спорт – один из самых дорогостоящих. Стоимость лошади может доходить до нескольких сотен тысяч долларов. Расходы на ее содержание – конюшня, корм, услуги конюха, тренера и жокея – до $1500 в месяц. Услуги тест-райдера, исправляющего недостатки в подготовке коня – до $1000 в день.
This is a bit, which I'm sure you know goes in the horse's mouth. This particular bit is called a jointed snaffle, a plain jointed snaffle bit. In fact, it's a very soft bit, a very easy bit for horses to use. And every horse that I have ever ridden would ride in one of these bits. There are much stronger bits, much harder bits. This will upset some people in the horse world. Personally, I think every horse can be ridden in one of these. It's the rider that needs to have a big piece of metal with bars and other things in a horse's mouth. The most important thing for me has always been for a horse to trust me. And I will give all my trust to a horse, and you build up a bond. In the normal competition, there are 12 jumps. I'm a good rider, but I'm not the best. 10 or 11 times out of 12, I can get my horse exactly to the right place to take off. 1 or 2 times, I'm going to get it wrong, and I'm going to have to say to the horse, help. And we have a term, you throw the reins up the horse's neck and say, go for it. And if a horse trusts you and you trust the horse will try. We ended up in some terrible situations, and many a time I've been on the floor with my horse looking as though it was going to roll over me, but we survived. My favourite horse was called Goofy. Goofy is a fond term. I think it's a Disney character as well. He had both of his front teeth missing. He came from Ireland. He was as stupid could be. He could jump like a horse I've never seen before. You could put a mountain in front of him and he would try jumping it. He was outside of the ring. He was like an old cart horse. He was just, you look at him and think, he's not a show jumping horse. He looked old, he looked tired, he opened his mouth and he had his tooth missing. He had lumps and bumps all over his legs. He didn't breathe well. He could not run for more than 6 or 7 minutes without having to have 30 minutes break. The one thing he could do, he could jump a big jump, and for 2 minutes he could go into a show jumping ring and he was like a ball of fire. As soon as he walked into the ring and he heard the applause and he heard the bell ring, which says that you can start your round, his ears would prick up, and suddenly he became 10 years younger. And he would pull my arms out of the socket. He would gallop towards everything. And so many times he not listened to me. I'm glad he did not. He knew more than I did. Many times he would win a class that I would not have won on any other horse because he would just take over. He would listen to me until he thought, no, I can do better. He beat world champions, European champions, when he shouldn't have done. I was a much less experienced rider. He was a far less fit and healthy horse, but somehow we had that little bit of magic for a year or two. But he was old, and then his time came. He just, I went out to the stables one morning, and he was just asleep. He had died in his sleep. The best horse I ever had. Sometimes I miss the competition. Sometimes, if I'm truthful, I miss the glamour. I miss that big cheer when you walk in with a horse into a ring and there's 3,000 or 4,000 people and the children sat round the edge. Sometimes I miss that. But I know that I'm getting older. And the last year or two, when I would walk the course, I know some of the top riders are my age, but when you look at the people you're competing against, there's some 18 and 19-year-olds, some 22-year-olds. They're still going to be doing this in 20 years' time. And in 20 years' time, wow, I haven't got a clue what I'm going to be doing. Well, I can't say that I'm off to feed the horses, but I'm off to feed myself. So it's been great talking to you, and I will see you again sometime.
I just wanna talk to you.